cloud. There we go. So that's
perfect. Thanks, Archie. So welcome everyone to those that have turned up and those that are watching the webinar afterwards. So for those of you that don't know, I am Tracy Longbottom, the Sales and Business Development Director of Document Direct. You probably are already aware, but if you're not, Document Direct offer two main services. One is audio and video transcription, and the other is what we term document production, which could be anything from copy typing, production of PowerPoint templates, e-bundling, basically any assistance with PDFs or the Office suite. We have a team of about 200 secretaries that are entirely UK based. And our service is 24/7. So if anyone is watching this that would like some more information that isn't aware of our service, please feel free to contact me, or I can see my lovely colleague Michelle, who is also on the call, smiling away there. Either of us would be more than happy to help. So a bit of housekeeping. Today's session is being recorded. I don't think we have any of our guests that are showing their videos anyway, but if anyone is averse to that, then please let me know. So welcome today to our guests and our new strategic partners, Archie and Paul from FormEvo. I'm sure they will do it much more of a service than I will, but at a high level, FormEvo is a fantastic forms package that can really help you gain some competitive advantage at the moment. And today we're talking specifically about how electronic AP1s can help you to gain that advantage. We did go to market and have a look at a number of solutions at Document Direct. We as a strategic partner are now implementing this solution for our own clients, which really gives it that stamp of authority to say what a good solution we think this is and what an advantage we think that this product can give you in the marketplace. So that's enough of an introduction from me. I will now hand you over to Archie to do the introductions from FormEvo, and just thanks again for joining or for watching the webinar afterwards. And I will hand over. There will be questions at the end, but if anyone wants to pop something in the chat box in the meantime, I will be monitoring that as well. Thanks, over to you guys.
Paul, would you like to kick off an
Indeed.
intro?
Indeed. So good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Clyde, Sales Director for FormEvo and SDLT.co.uk. So our topic today is around the changes that have been announced by the Land Registry. And if there's ever an example of technical development that has come out of the issues and challenges around the pandemic, I think this is a great one. To illustrate the changes in the demands of both law firms and also their clients. And basically, the history of ourselves is that SDLT.co.uk has been around since the mid-noughties, and to date, via our portals, we've had over 5 million submissions of digital forms. And very much part of our raison d'etre is around providing clients with the ability to have a common experience in using forms across different government agencies. So it takes away the requirement to have to know the challenges of different portals. Equally, we're able to provide this ability to reuse data from one government portal to another. And my colleague Archie will illustrate this as we go through the presentation. So Archie, over to you.
Thank you, Paul. What is changing and why? Fundamentally, November 2022, the traditional well-used AP1 form, which is an application to change the register with HMLR, is no longer going to be accepted in a paper format. So that means the PDF or the Word document that is predominantly used for Land Registry AP1s will not be accepted. So just to be super clear, your AP1 that you traditionally use the Land Registry portal to upload as a Word document or a PDF will not be accepted. It will immediately, in fact, rather than being rejected, you won't even be able to do it. They are going to remove that whole section within the Land Registry portal that will prevent you from uploading an AP1 or anything to do with a lease or a TP1, and you'll simply find it's not there. So that means you'll have two choices. One choice is that you'll have to, if you use case management or you've got an AP1 that's typed up, which inevitably you will have, you'll have to retype it. The Land Registry portal screens do not follow the paper form. So you'll have to jump around the paper form to find the information to then fill in their screens. The expectation is this is going to be an additional 20-25 minutes worth of your time to fill in an AP1 using the Land Reg portal. The alternative, and there is a choice, so that's one choice, and the alternative is to use something called the Business Gateway. And the Business Gateway is a digital input process that FormEvo provides to Document Direct and can provide to yourselves, that allows the information to be captured on an AP1 from an SDLT. So the stamp duty land tax form is the prerequisite to an AP1, and we can recycle the data on an SDLT and pull it through to an AP1. What's more is we can take that data from a LTT, which is a Welsh equivalent of an SDLT, and pre-populate the AP1. So that's the key answer to what is changing and why. Why is it changing? It's been changing because of the pandemic. Land Registry has responded to the pandemic by saying we need to make more things digital. And that's what it's all about. So in a moment, I'm going to show you the seamless process from HMRC or WRA in effect through to the Land Registry portal. I'll touch briefly on the Law Society CQS compliance and define a little bit that around commercial transactions with Companies House and any other developments to look out for. So in effect, we are all looking forward, and we're looking to try and future-proof you into tomorrow. Very quickly, the essence of an AP1 and the reason why the Land Registry is mandating the use of an AP1 is because of this small basic pictogram, which defines really that conveyancing is split into 50% compliance and 50% conveyancing. It's not all about conveyancing. A lot of the pressures upon you will be to do with compliance. So you'll see that effectively we start here with your firm doing AMLs and doing searches and dealing with contracts and TR1s and so forth. That then is all pre-completion. Post-completion, you deal with HMRC or WRA, and you have a requirement to be CQS compliant. And then the result of all of that goes through to the Land Registry. And if the Land Registry don't get what they want, the soft touch that they currently employ is turning into a hard touch November 2022, and they shall immediately reject your attempt to upload an AP1 to the portal as it exists now, and back around the loop you go. And if you get some of your AP1 wrong, they're getting a hard touch. So they'll require validation and a digital process to make effectively what you're doing the way they want you to do it. So I'm just going to drag across my screen here of an SDLT, and I'm going to show you in effect what this looks like. So here we have an SDLT, and we've got different transactions. We've got some green ones. These are all English, and we've got a red one, and that is Welsh. You've got a little icon here that shows that against this particular form, there was an AP1. So I'm going to go into this form, and I'm going to look at the sets of questions around the form that you'll all be very familiar with. And significantly, with these questions, you will have a quick fill AP1. So when you've got the paper file in front of you on your desk, you'll be filling in details about the property, title numbers, and so forth. And you will also have a quick fill AP1. So it makes sense to fill in the quick fill AP1. You have those questions around land, vendor, and purchaser. These questions, and for those that are using HMRC's own portal for SDLT, you will not find that HMRC integrates with HMLR. That will never happen. They leave that process to effectively the wider innovative commercial market, which I'm glad to say is ourselves. And so here we have an SDLT that you would fill in, that you send to HMRC. And in that process, you will have a quick fill AP1, which is to answer a few questions around what is needed for an AP1. There looks like there's lots of questions here, but they're dependent questions. So they only appear if you say, yes, there is a lender for the seller, or yes, there is a lender for the purchaser. The point of that process is that it produces you a matrix at the end. Once you've sent your SDLT, you will be able to get this matrix that describes the parties in HMRC language and in HMLR language. A purchaser one is an applicant, and a vendor one is an other party, which is filled out on a AP1 on question 13. Question 13 is one of the top 5 reasons that requisitions are raised from the Land Registry back to you, the conveyancer. And that's relevant because if you have a digital transformation process, which is what you're looking at between SDLT and AP1, then the problems associated with the incorrect party definition around question 13 are resolved for you. The soft touch that is currently in place is around the primary role. Transfer E and transfer OR are typically got the wrong way around in 1 in 5 applications, AP1s. They're typically either not complete or completed wrongly. The Land Registry has a soft touch approach currently that will become a hard touch from November 2022 onwards, and they'll simply reject them, so that effectively you've got your SDLT, which is names and addresses and a bit of information about the transaction, filling in an AP1. So I can get up to 94% pre-population of an AP1. And here is the AP1. It looks like the paper form that you'll be familiar with. It is pre-filled in the local authority details, the title numbers, and it's even worked out panel 4. And this is one that is often a bit of a challenge for conveyancers, which is the correct order by which the applications and their priority status appears in. Again, at the moment, the Land Registry on a paper AP1 have a soft touch approach, so that if you get the transfer in front of the discharge, Land Registry goes, we know what you mean, you've got to discharge the charge prior to transferring the property ownership. So we'll sort that out for you. Well, that is an example of what is being stopped in terms of the future from November 2022 onwards. They will stop sorting that sort of thing out for you, and they will simply reject it. The Land Registry portal will reject it as well, that with their new system, because it'll say you can't do a discharge until you've done, you can't do a charge, for example, until you've done a discharge. Go back to the beginning, re-enter the information. You must enter it in the correct format and in the correct priority. Again, within SDLT and AP1, with what you're looking at on screen, all of that is resolved for you. So this has been pre-populated. At the end of the day, within the AP1, if it's come from, originated from an SDLT, then you'll find that this is all sorted out for you. And all you need to do is add the following attachments: add the transfer, add the charge. So I can click the attach button, I can click on a link, I can choose my PDF, and it will upload it. there you can see it uploading. So this is how we upload the additional information that complements or supports the AP1, the digital AP1. The digital AP1 has been filled in from the SDLT information, just as a reminder, via the quick fill AP1s. And as long as I fill in the date on page 5, I can then e-submit. So this date here, I need to put in today's date. I can then e-submit it. The process of e-submitting allows validation to happen. You can see on the side that it has correctly, according to the Land Registry's rules of digital submissions, the system has correctly validated that you've put in the dates in the correct format. You've put in the names and the addresses without blank spaces, without non-alphanumeric characters. You've basically done everything you need to do in a digital world correctly, and then you can e-submit it. Sadly, the Land Registry doesn't have a test process and this is live. What you're looking at is what users are using all day, every day, right here, right now. So I can't send this test submission to Land Registry, and so I'm not going to click the e-submit now button. But if I had, then they would get the Land Registry would get the information, and the transaction would be pending. And when I'm back in my SDLT world, I would see this little EAP1 icon to say, you've done your SDLT, that has been accepted, and your AP1 has been produced, and it is currently pending. So I could perhaps come back to my SDLT screen 3 days later and simply click on the AP1 and say, where are you at, system, with this AP1? And you can verify the status of the AP1 whenever you want. When the AP1 has been either accepted or rejected or is pending a requisition, you will get an email. So everything that happens in the status change process around an AP1 as a digital form, you will always be communicated with by email. You can also log into the system and view where you're at with those forms. I'm going to just close this particular one, and I'll show you the existing forms list. And here we have it, and it says task to action. So the stuff that is red needs you to deal with it. Here is an AP1 that is red, and red means it's been submitted and rejected. You can see it's rejected here, and it will tell you why it's rejected and that you need to resolve those rejections and resubmit it. If there was a requisition raised, it'll tell you that there are 2 requisitions and they must be resolved by the 1st of March. And this screen would be orange. So we can send, via Tracy, we'll send you a little guide after this session that shows some snapshots of the requisition process. I can't simulate the requisition process because this isn't a real submission, and I haven't got somebody in the Land Registry waiting at the other end of this demonstration to respond with a requisition. So we'll send you some screenshots of what that looks like. But in effect, you've got the button here that's red for rejected, orange for pending, or requisitions are raised, and it is green for an accepted form. Sorry
to interrupt, but it just seemed like a good time to ask this question. So
okay.
Dave asked if he will need to link FormEvo to his firm's Land Registry portal account in order to submit this AP1.
That's a good question, David. The answer is yes. Your existing portal account, and there's a little, if I zoom in, perhaps you can see a bit better. There is a little tick box to say auto-calculate fees. And below section 4, there is a statement that says fee payment will be collected by your variable direct debit, VDD. So your portal account, which is more than just a way of dealing with applications to change the register, your portal account also is connected to your variable direct debit. And that is how you pay your fees to the Land Registry. So whether you are processing your AP1 by re-entering all of the data from a paper form into the Land Registry's new portal account, which will be available in November, or you're saving yourself the time of retyping everything by using SDLT, LTT, and AP1, which is what we're seeing here on screen, then the fees will all be auto-calculated. There's the £150, and that will be taken by your current portal account. So in terms of how the system works for payments to the Land Registry, there is nothing for you to change. Your portal account will be saved into the form, and therefore the Land Registry will know to take the £150 from your portal account for this application. So just to reiterate, you will use your portal account so that your variable direct debit account correctly debits the money from the correct account associated with that AP1, and there is nothing different, there is nothing new to do in order for you to manage a digital AP1, which is what is happening for every type of transaction from November 2022 onwards. So that hopefully has answered that question, and is indeed a great question. So we've talked briefly about the source information for an AP1 can pre-populate from an SDLT or an LTT, and those quick fill AP1s are available from SDLT.co.uk. They are not available from the HMRC's own system, because HMRC does not integrate and will not integrate with Land Registry. However, the commercial market is enabled to use the HMRC API, to use the Land Registry API, to join the dots together so that people at the end of the day, conveyancing wise, do not need to retype the information that you've already typed for an SDLT or an LTT into an AP1. So what we're doing is cutting out retyping of the same information around names and addresses and transaction details via we're cutting out that repetitive retyping. If you've got case management, then case management can fill in the SDLT in the first place. If you have the document direct team doing your SDLTs for you from your, in effect, paper virtual files, then that process can be done for you as well. So you benefit from being efficient. That's it at the end of the day. The takeaway from this session is, how can I ensure my conveyancing process post-completion is efficient? The answer is, if the document direct team are supporting you in that process, the information that is typed in once and is recycled many times between the SDLT and the AP1. If this transaction happened to be a commercial transaction, so it is a non-residential transaction, then you can also e-submit and fill in an MRO1, which is the equivalent of an AP1, but it's the company's house version of it. And that form, so here is an MRO1, this has been pre-filled in from the SDLT and is a digital form and has an e-submit button, just like the AP1 did. You can then submit that as well, and that saves you time, and you'll get a 48-hour response, as opposed to if you fill it in by paper, you'll get a 16-day response. And an MRO1, it has a 21-day deadline, so it's really important that you are enabled to use digital submissions for an MRO1, because it's quicker at the end of the day. The last point we talked about briefly on the agenda was talking about the Law Society CQS requirement 1.2, and that says that there should be 2 sets of eyes on question 10 and question 14 of an SDLT. The Law Society CQS team were planning in 2019 to have 350 spot check visits of CQS members. The pandemic got in the way, and clearly we couldn't have Law Society compliance team turning up on your door, knocking on the door to say, can I come in and check that you are compliant? Compliance of the CQS scheme has eroded a little bit over the pandemic as we all dealt with and responded with the challenges that gave us. The Law Society are interested in 2022-23 of reinstigating their compliance checking. In that little pictogram we saw at the beginning, I mentioned that of conveyancing, 50% of the process is about conveyancing and 50% is about compliance. And the Law Society CQS requirement 1.2, which is on page 5, if you want to look at the document, says question 10 and question 4 require that the SDLT has 2 sets of eyes on it. And just very briefly to finish with, if I copy this form and then attempt to e-submit it, you will see that we capture that with these pink buttons. So I need to click on this and this to say that I have in fact had another set of eyes. Maybe I'm the secretary and I've got my fee earner to check it. I've had a second set of eyes check this so that we are indeed Law Society compliant. And I'm watching the clock, and we have come to a sort of a timely finish, really just to of the agenda. We've covered very briefly SDLT, LTT, EAP1, recycling information, being efficient, and in doing so also being Law Society CQS compliant. So that takes us, I think, really back to the key points of this demonstration. And if I click on the correct button, then we can remind ourselves of this screen. This is what we're talking about, being efficient and not ending up on the bad boys list, which is a high producer of requisitions to the Land Registry. And that's why, one of the reasons why they're mandating that an AP1 must be digital going forward from November 2022 onwards. So that was us looking briefly at the Land Registry digital transformation process, identifying things to look out for. And at the end of the day, we don't all want to hit November and be thinking, I've got to do something about my AP1 digital process. We want to be doing that in June, July, so we gently get used to it and so forth. So thank you, everybody. Over to Tracy, who's monitoring the chat and any other questions.
Perfect. Thanks ever so much, Archie. That was really, really helpful. And I'm sure anyone watching this will have got a lot of insight from that. We do have a couple of additional questions. One you have already covered off, which was, I think, case management providers and the earlier question. One other question that's outstanding is, what's your view on using land registry forms in Word, and will that still be an option? I think the question is assuming come November.
Well, that's really just the point. An AP1 that you can download from the Land Registry as a Word document will not be accepted by the Land Registry from November 2022 onwards. So you simply can't use Word. The Land Registry regret ever producing their forms in a Word format fundamentally, because that is not a digital format, never will be. It is a paper format. So the future is less use of Word-based forms. The forms need to be in a digital format. They need to be browser-based. So the data collection process needs to be browser-based, which is what we have been seeing just in this last 20 minutes or so. It is entirely browser-based. There is zero footprint, and you can log on to it from any device, anywhere, which obviously kitchen tables and in a pandemic was very widely well received, and is the future. Digital is cloud-based. So I think that's the answer to that question. If there's any other questions that arrive in having thought about it later on with a cup of tea, then do please direct any questions to Tracy, and we can fill in the gaps and answer those questions.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Archie and Paul, ever so much for hosting the webinar. I hope that the people that have attended today and the viewers of the webinar afterwards have got some good insight into what's happening over the coming months, and also how your solution can really help them with that. I will be circulating this to everyone that's attended today and all of those that registered that haven't been able to make it. There's my mobile number and my email address. I can see one of our lovely friendly clients on here, which I think already knows Michelle as well. So please feel free to make contact with Michelle directly with any questions or queries that you've got, either about Document Direct or about AP1's or FormEvo or anything else that we've covered today. But thank you ever so much. We're really excited about our new strategic partnership with FormEvo, and I hope that you guys are too. So look forward to speaking to you all shortly. Thanks, Archie. Thanks, Paul.
We certainly are, Tracy. Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.